Before we go into solving multi-step equations, we need to review solving 1- and 2-step equations. The main idea in solving equations is to use inverse operations. So what is the inverse of addition? Subtraction. The inverse then of subtraction is addition. The inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. So an example of each of those, if I were to solve x plus 5 equals 7, the inverse of adding 5 is subtracting 5. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides of the equation in order to keep it balanced. So positive 5 and negative 5 will cancel out, and I'm left with x equals 2. If I were to check my answer and plug 2 in for x, 2 plus 5 equals 7, so it checks out. X minus 5 equals 7. The inverse of minus 5 is adding 5 to both sides. So negative 5 and positive 5, or minus 5 plus 5, cancel out, and I'm left with x equals 7 plus 5 is 12. Check our answer. 12 minus 5 equals 7, and that works. For multiplication, 5x equals 10. Remember, that means 5 times x equals 10. So the inverse of multiplication is division. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, or 1x, equals 10 divided by 5, which is 2. If I check my answer, 5 times 2 equals 10. So that checks out. For division, x divided by 5 equals 10. The inverse of dividing by 5 is multiplying by 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides times 5. And 5 divided by 5 here is 1x, so that cancels out, equals 10 times 5, which is 50. If I check my answer, 50 divided by 5 equals 10, and so that checks out. So how does that apply then to 2-step equations? We're going to solve this step by step. First thing we're going to do is move the constant to the other side of the equation using inverse operations. Other side refers to whichever side does not have a variable. So what I would like to do is put a fence down the middle of the equation. The middle of the equation is wherever the equal sign is. So I'll just use that line to show one side or the other. So the constant is the number without a variable. In this case, 4.84 is our constant. It's being added, so I'm going to do the inverse, which is subtracting 4.84 from both sides. Remember to line up your decimal and put your 0 in as a placeholder. So positive 4.84 and negative 4.84 are going to cancel out. Copy the rest of your problem down. Negative 3.2x equals 10.60 minus 4.84 is 5.76. Then eliminate the coefficient using inverse operations. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable, or the number being multiplied times x. So since it's being multiplied, I need to do the inverse, which is to divide on both sides. Make sure you bring that sign, that's a common mistake, is to ignore the sign and just divide by 3.2. But that would leave you with a negative x. This way we have negative 3.2 divided by negative 3.2. Negative divided by negative is a positive 1x left over. And 5.76 divided by negative 3.2 is negative 1.8. Now just to quick check our answer, we're going to plug in negative 1.8 for x. Negative 3.2, and then in parentheses, negative 1.8, I think I'm going to run out of space, plus 4.84 equals 10.6. So using order of operations, I'm going to multiply before I add. Negative 3.2 times negative 1.8 is 5.76 plus 4.84 equals 10.6. And then add 5.6 and 4.84. 10.6 equals 10.6, and it checks out. So we're good.